Hello everybody, welcome to the signal box today. Thank you very much for joining me. This is your first time here and you like what you see, please do feel free to like and subscribe. And if you're a regular viewer of the channel or just joined recently, a very warm welcome and a big shout out to you guys as well. And thanks for joining me today. So we'll crack on with today's video. So before I do, I want to just do a quick little hot weather mention. Now, in the UK, we've just been through, and I'm going to go through again soon, another mini heat wave, and it's got really ridiculously hot. Today it's raining outside with a little bit of chance of thunder, but it's cooled things down temperature wise. But what happened was, due to the excessive heat in my little flat, basically the baseboard, when it's stored up vertically out of use, when it's not set up and running, and everything on like building wires has been taken off here. What happened was, during the excessive heat, I didn't actually run the railway for about 3.5 weeks, just on 4 weeks. And what happened was that my canal, as you can see, everything slipped forward into a big sludgy heap on the other end. So if you look, actually, you'll see that the current looks like it's flowing that way, but you can see there, basically, can you see where the resin has actually began to drop down the other end, and you can see it's left like a little permanent mark there, well, permanent, what do you call it, indentations in the resin surface. So you can see from that shot there where it was normally quite flat, and still you've now got this added ripple effect, which I think it actually don't look too bad. If we come down here, I'll show you. You can see basically where it's dropped down. If you can imagine, this is stored up vertically, so everything ended up in a heap there. So the middle of this week, I found all the resin piled up in this area in like a solidified, almost like a volcanic state. You know, when it was seen on National Geographic, those videos on the internet of volcanic lava, once it cools, it cools into like a solidified mass. That's exactly what happened to this resin stuff. So this morning I got really early, set the baseboard up, and I've just gone over it and trimmed it all off at the bottom there. I've relayered it. I've put some water bubbles there for that effect. I've also added a little ripple effect there where the fisherman's fishing there. And on the whole, it don't look too bad. I mean, if you look at it from that angle, you can see it looks like the water's actually pushing in one direction on both sides. So it's actually helped it a little bit. It gives the feeling of there's a current in the water. That's what I was trying to explain. Also, our little aquatic friends, our little duck family, have moved. They're now over here. I've put them there, and I think they look better actually there, and they bring that little scene there to life actually. So I'm quite happy with that. So that's where the little duck family live, as opposed to the canal. Now, also what happened on the other side of the water feature side, if we come over here, this had major problems. Everything from this end, as you can see, it looks a little bit glossy and a little bit fogged over a little bit because it's almost dry. But this end I had to recoat this morning with a little bit of resin, and everything basically slipped from, where is it? Everything slipped from this end. It all moved up into a heap. This was all covered in hardened resin. So you can see where I've basically just trimmed it off a little bit. I know it's not great, but it's passable. So we've removed the ducts from here, and we've just added that car tyre in that place there this morning. And I know it's not great, but you can see where everything has slipped because this thing is stored up sort of that way, and the heat was so hot in this room and in my flat in general, even despite, as you can hear in the background, I've got a big fan there going. That's been going on for a couple of days, that fan. I've never switched it off, and it's not even hot. It's a great little fan. It does provide me with the breeze, but it wasn't enough to cool the entire room down. And unfortunately, I think where I put too much resin when I originally did this, I layered it too much, and obviously the top layer wasn't 100% cured as such, so it basically shifted with the heat and melted it, and it all dripped, went down there and gathered up here. So I had to basically get a craft knife and cut it all out, and then tidy it up, and then recoat and reply. So got a little bit of Like here you can see it's not great, but we can pretend that's ripples in the water, and it's just things are shifting that way because it's a strong current. But if we look at it from that shot there, it's not too bad, I know. Anyway, so I've got me canal sorted out this morning. I've done that bit over there, and we've got a couple of bacon butties on the go there. Fantastic, bosh. So we're ready to run some trains. So that, in the meantime, I think looks okay. I'm quite happy with these water bubble effects. I'm not going to interfere with these. I like that as it is, and yeah, we'll leave that as it is. And our little duck family look brilliant there. Okay, so you all came this morning to this video for one reason and one reason only, and I know there's a lot of people out there on social media, on Facebook as well, that will love this video. I'm going to showcase the Accurascale Buckjumpers. They are here, as you know, and they are now ready to go on the railway. So I'll just illuminate a few things, and we'll get some things switched on, some lights. Okay, so I think what the first thing we'll do, in regards to a little story, I'll share with you in a moment, but let's get the first service underway. So this is the Accurascale Buckjumper in late black BR crest. It's in the station. It's just left now. So this is a Hertford East little coal train service, and here she comes. I'll let her speak for herself. And then on track number 2, in a few seconds we'll get the second service away. Let's just come back along here the railway today and just catch an eye level glimpse of this lovely little buck jumper. Here she comes. I'm going to share with you a little story in a minute. But just to prove how super smooth and silky these things run, I'll take my main fan off in the background. So if I just knock that out, I'll leave a little one on the top there. I've got a little fan up there on my bookcase up there, which gives me a little bit of air as well, because it's blinking hot today. But anyway, listen to this. So quiet, isn't it? These are unbelievably silky smooth and so quiet. They don't make a sound. You get a tiny little whir out of them, but they're so smooth. Anyway, let's get service number 2 on the way. On track 2, we've got a North Woolwich to Accurascale'S branch being hauled by the Great Eastern Railway livery Buckjumper in ultramarine blue. And this thing is stunning. Here she comes. Look at this. And away it went. Look at that. Now those coaches it's pulling are Bachmann coaches, and they are the closest match for those type of coaches for Buckjumpers to haul little suburban jazz services. These are Mark 1 Suburban Second Open Crimson. They're the weathered ones from Bachmann, and the Accurascale ones are identical. They're a little bit more detailed, but they're pretty much as is these ones. They're not far off. These are the closest I've got. and I think they look an absolute treat. Look at that, going all the way to Palace Gates. Wow. Absolutely stunning. I'll just get a nice little low level shot here for you folks at home of this lovely little buck jumper. First of all, this one. Okay, time for a family story. True story. If you look at this model that I've built here on my little modest little small layout, there's a few little nods to things that I grew up with in my childhood and childhood memories. So this little stretch of railway here, you can see in the shot with the back gardens, a little embankment going right next to the railway line. That is a little bit of a homage to where I grew up as a very small boy, and in fact it's based loosely upon a road called Claremont Road in Leighton, London E11. Arguably some people say Leighton E10, Leighton E11, but one of those weird things where one end of the street is E11 and the other end closest to Leighton Station becomes E10. It's the postcode thing, it's weird, and don't ask me why, but anyway, the point of the story is about 2 or 3 generations of my mum's family grew up on Claremont Road. So I had 2 aunts that lived at the top end of the road on the corner opposite each other, and then we lived at number 62. Before I was born, my mum lived at number 66 Claremont Road with a mum and dad and a sister. Round about 1956, 1957, the highlight of the evening, always, every evening, bang on the dot, regular as clockwork, the 7 o'clock goods train or coal train would come along the line. Now the line being the eastbound central line, because at the time in 1947, 1948, the central line was extended and electrified towards Epping, and electric tube trains started running by 1948. So in the meantime, British Railways and the Eastern region were running coal trains and goods trains up to Epping and Ongar via Leighton Junction, along the eastbound central line, up through Leytonstone and up towards Epping, using the existing central line, former Great Eastern Railway route. Now this little shot here, there is a darkened patch of grass there next to the set of points, which indicates there was previously a line side fire there. Here's the story. Every 7 o'clock of a summer evening, without fail, bang on the dot, Puffin Billy would come along. What was Puffin Billy? One of these, a buck jumper in that colour, maybe a bit more grubbier than that, but hauling very similar coal trucks with a guards van on the back. He used to wave to my mum at the back of the platform as the train went past my mum's road. And sometimes, 99% of the time, Puffin Billy, aka the J6768 buck jumper, would set the grass bank on fire on a hot summer evening and absolutely obliterate the summer evening silence with the barking from the chimney as it approached Leighton Station, coming off Temple Mills. Obviously the footplate crew would open up and you could hear it apparently coming all the way from Leighton Station. So they would run outside and sit on the wall and wait for Puffin Billy to go by, and the guard would wave his little green flag sometimes, and a little cheeky wave to my mum and to her sister. And sometimes the bank would set alight 9 times out of 10, and the fire engines would come round, and this brought further excitement, and it extended the stay outside before bed. So that was the story of Puffin Billy. I did put this on social media, so if you're viewing this on social media, there's a comment by another chap who put it on there that his grandmother lived, I think, in Chingford Hatch, and remembers the steam trains going past the house, particularly the Buckjumpers. But this is represented now, this little coal train service here. We can pretend it's going up to Epping, being hauled by that little robust, sturdy, determined little Buckjumper, barking its way along through the station and through the suburbs of East London on a hot summer evening somewhere in 1957. On the opposite line we've got the Woolwich to Accurascale'S branch service. I'll tell you something really good about these little Buckjumpers that you get from Accurascale. They are in many ways more than one, very superior to some of the models we've got out there. I'm not knocking any other brand model, but these, after purchasing these little Buckjumpers, I'm in agreement with most people that would agree with me on social media and saying that these really are at the moment very hard to not like, and so many features on them that are very impressive. Simmering over way on shed there, over the back there on the shed. If I can just zoom in with the camera and it will let me. There we go. I've got an Oxford Rail N7. Now what I've done with this, the great thing about these little Buckjumpers, I was about to say, was that you get a really large selection of different name-board destinations to fit to your Buckjumper. Now, for many years, or since they were released, these N7s from Oxford Rail, they're absolutely perfect in every way for the Stratford N7s, but they never came with a destination board on the front, and I thought that's what's missing. So hey presto, the other night I dug one of the spare name boards out, and I managed to fit one. I'm going to try and get it in shot without wobbling out of the camera, if I can do this. Hang on, excuse me. It won't let me do it. Oh. awful bit of editing there, load of crap. I'll tell you what, I'll bring it out in a bit because we're going to do a loco change in a minute, so I'll bring this out. But what I've basically done, I've stuck a Hertford name board in the front, and on the back a Liverpool Street, so it looks proper now. I'll show you that in a bit, but anyway, we are due a loco changeover now. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to change over that service, and also I'm going to change over on track 1 the local coal train service. We've got another little Buckjumper on shed, which is the Liverpool Street pilot, or the station pet as it was known. There she is, simmering away there on shed. I'll just come round with the camera and we can have a little look on shed of her. So this particular engine was known as the station pet because it was well maintained and loved and looked after by the train crews, or the footplate crews and cleaners at Liverpool Street and Stratford. So this would have buzzed backwards and forwards between Liverpool Street and Thornton Fields carriage sidings. Now Thornton Fields, the land is still there, but the sidings are there no more. I believe it belonged to an American gentleman originally, who bought the piece of land. I think it was for a school or something like that, or it was to do with some local area, and then it was given to the Great Eastern Railway, and they put carriage sidings there, and it was always known as Thornton Field sidings. And I remember Thornton Field sidings very well, all the carriages and electric stock in there and everything. But yeah, that's pretty much where they would have brought rolling stock from, brought it down to Liverpool Street, run round it, shunted it, and basically formed it up for the next service, and then empty stock would have gone up to Thornton Fields if it wasn't required. But that's where all the carriage stock was kept normally. Nearest to Liverpool Street was Thornton Fields. Obviously Stratford Depot being within a stone's throw. So anyway, let's get this loco out of the depot. We'll do a loco changeover and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so we've got the two Buckjumpers there uncoupled from their respective rolling stock. So we start with track number 2. We're going to just basically take this up to the signal box, and then we'll bring it into the depot. So there it goes. We'll just stop it past the signal box up to the signal. Just drop up to the stick. Bosh. Okay, he's got the stick, so let's bring him into the depot. Out there. Okay, right, track number 1, little Buckjumper. We're gonna just bring that across now onto track number 2. Bosh, look at that. Making its way around there. Light engine. Right, that's coupled in the station to those carriages that I forgot about. Anyway, that's okay. I wanted it on there anyway. Okay. We'll leave that there ready for the next service. Perfect. Okay, what I'm going to do is just have a look. Right, we'll bring this one out. We'll bring the station pet out, the pilot. This is the limited edition one. Everyone's after this one. Right folks, the Buckjumper action continues on the railway this afternoon. So we've got the little black Buckjumper with the late crest in charge of that second open suburban little rake there. And on track number 1, we've got out the shed, the pet, the Liverpool Street pilot. This is the one that everyone's after, this one. And here she is in charge of that little coal train. Look at that. I'll come over here and get a nice little shot of that running around my little railway this afternoon. Oh, wasn't she adorable? Look at that. That just gives me goosebumps. It really does. These are very, very, very lovely engines, and they perform absolutely wonderful, as you can see. And the reason I've got this one running bunker first is a little bit of variation, because sometimes you don't want to always see things running smoke block first, and it shows off that lovely Stratford destination plate on the back. Speaking of the rear of the engines, you notice I've got rear coal in the bunker, obviously the coal on the back there, in the rear bunker, and that is something I fitted myself, because Accurascale do tell you that these locos don't come with fitted coal. They've left that option open so you can fill as much or as less coal as you want to on your particular sample model. And if you look at this one on track 2 now, this one's liberally coaled up. as well. And this is all real coal, by the way, I've used. Giving it a 30A style bunker filled of coal. People might say to me out there, oh, the coal's too big, the lumps are too big, you've overfilled it, bosh, bosh, bosh. Well, I should say, well, excuse me, being a Stratford man, I research my coal loads because I've got many good books on my bookshelf, and one is by, I think it's Gavin Morrison, who wrote this book about Stratford 30A shed. I'll dig it out in a minute actually, and there's loads of pictures of Buckjumpers liberally coaled up for the job. And obviously if the coal is too big for any loco, be it a tender engine or a little tank engine like this, then there is such a thing as a coal hammer as used by the firemen. But I wanted to simulate that it's been under the Stratford coaler and it's been liberally coaled up for the day. See all the nice mainline engines like Flying Scotsman and Mallard and all the famous glossy engines that ran out of King's Cross, and all the Great Western prestigious passenger engines, like tender engines out of the mainline stations for the prestigious passenger services. All the coal on their tenders are all nice and neat, but these little East London Buckjumpers, they're full of character, they were. And it just looks the part, I think, makes it really characterful, having that raw coal in the bunker, should I say, not tender, but in the bunker, just filled up quite liberally. And I've done it on all my Buckjumpers, including the ultramarine one over there, which I'll try and get in shot. If I can get it in shot, I'll come around this way. Is it going to hide from me today? I think it is, but anyway, it's pretty much the same I've done on the back of that one as well. So, but doesn't that look nice? That's the Enfield town service going up towards London Liverpool Street, going around on track 2. That's what I like about these particular models. You can select your destination boards on the rear of the bunker and on the front of the smoke box, so you can do it accordingly. So I've got an Enfield Liverpool Street service, a Hertford service, which is the N7 tank engine, which we'll get out in a bit, which is over there, and then the little Palace Gate Woolwich branch service, which is served by that one there. That looks so evocative, doesn't it? Let's try and bring the camera in steady. There we go. Okay, it's time for another loco change. So I think what we'll do, we'll unhook this black Buckjumper, which we've done so far, and we'll ease her off and bosh him out the way, round the corner, just up to the signal box, about there. And then I think what we'll do is just bring it onto shed, creep him round that curve there, stopping at the start fault, having a quick few second chat there with the driver, waiting for his pickup, quick toot on the whistle, and across the crossing very cautiously. Kind of blast on the hooter and then drifting off into the shed. Right, we need to have another loco for that passenger service there, or empty rake of coaches. So we'll bring something off shed. It's a Hertford service we need, so we need to bring a loco accordingly. There comes the N7. I think we might have those. We do. Right. Okay, just had to put the fan on because it's getting rather warm in here. Okay, so we'll get rid of this little pilot. Well, it's done its job, so we'll just move that off now. I think we'll stick it over there. And we'll drop it up to there. Okay, so I couldn't bring this in earlier because it was too blurred and out of shot, but here we go. This is my Oxford Rail N7, and it's got the Hertford plate on the front, which is a perfect fit from these Accurascale Buckjumper sets. It will fit the Oxford Rail N7s. If you've got one of those out there and you want to put some main boards on there appropriately from the Eastern Region routes, suburban routes, jazz services, they fit a treat. So we've got Hertford on the front there. If I carefully come round with the camera on the bunker end, we've got Liverpool Street again. So interestingly enough, if you look at the rear bunker windows on there, and then you look at the black Buckjumper, exactly identical. I love that design of windows on that loco. It really does look good, and especially on the N7 as well. But anyway, let's get that away and we'll crack on. So there goes that evening service to Hertford East. It's a nice summer evening, summer in 1957. There is a little bit of a current in the canal. The ducks are happily swimming along there. Someone's having a nice summer evening fish. Looks like they may have caught something. So moving over on shed, simmering away there. There's those 3 Buckjumpers on shed. And they do look absolutely lovely, don't they? Okay folks, well before I go, I could not resist doing this lineup. So we've got the 3 Buckjumpers on shed there, and then in front we've got the N7 completing the little Stratford scene there. Wow, look at that. What a Stratford scene. Okay, so the good news is that the resin's pretty much touch dry, so we give that until this evening and that will be good as gold. And they're forecast much cooler temperatures next week, so hopefully that will hold now. We won't get that problem again. But I don't think it looks too bad. I think it's passable. It's actually given it a little bit of dimension because, like I said before at the beginning of today's video, it looks like there is a physical current and the water is flowing that way. As you can see where it's shifted everything that way, it's left these little indentations either side of the canal bank, as you can see all the way along, which gives it a little bit of an impression of water is flowing that way. Okay. Anyway folks, that is my railway running for today, and I hope you've enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed seeing those wonderful Accurascale Buckjumpers in action, and we'll have some more running for you next time in the next video. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe if this is your first time watching the channel and you liked what you saw today. Thank you very much. It means all the best. It means a lot to me, and I want to say all the best to you. Thank you very much for watching. Have a lovely rest of your weekend, and I shall see you soon in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.